I'm currently in a Ford Focus. This is a 2008 model. It's the LT with the 2-litre Duratec engine. This vehicle is having some problems at the moment. The most notable one is the idle is dropping off when you're stopping at the likes of traffic lights, or you're stopping and then going to take off. You're having this up and down movement with the RPM. Very, very noticeable and quite awkward at times. The other one that has kind of come in the last few days is the droning type of noise as you get up higher in speeds. So from, let's say, 30 all the way up to 100, we're on the freeway, you are getting a very high increase in this droning type noise. Now, I had pinned down an issue already with the intake manifold. The intake manifold in these has inbuilt flaps, inbuilt like swirl flaps that's in them. They are known for giving problems. There is no direct visual that you can get on them, like by using a boroscope or something like that. Coming in through the throttle body, it's a different direction that they route through the manifold. So what I've done on this, and what I do in the likes of these, is just the old school, put a screwdriver down on top of the flaps and listen for the sounding of it. You can do actuation tests as well on the actual unit itself, using vacuum gauges and making sure the unit hasn't completely seized and it has free movement. But where it gives problems is they start to develop play and potentially even break away. So the play will cause like a rattling sound. That rattling sound can be very noticeable at idle or at an increase in speed from idle. So with somebody in the vehicle just revving it, I had a screwdriver right down where them swirl flaps are. I listened to the sound and I confirmed that there was a heavy vibration in two of those cylinders in particular. With that, I went ahead and ordered the inlet manifold. It has came this week, and I'm going to install it tonight. So I'm going to install the manifold. I'm going to show you the step-by-step process on how you install this. I'm also going to hopefully see some damage in there, and I can show you that as well. So this is the new intake manifold here, getting ready to install it. But if you look here, these are the intake flaps. That's the rod that it runs along in there. And that's how they should look with absolutely zero play. All the way up along. So on the manifold itself, we've got 2, 4, 6, 7 along here that needs to be removed, and we've also got this one down here. This is a Pcv Valve Hose, I believe. Okay, so that's it. It's always a very good idea to look at the new parts. Even if it's a big removal process, it can give you a good idea as to the layout and how you might go about removing. So if you look in there, you can see what a tight space you're going to have to remove some of them bolts. They're going to be very tight along. So without further ado, let's get into getting this one in. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is to start to make room on the top side here. We're going to take out the air box. That's going to be very straightforward to remove that up out of position. The cabling that sits on the top side, as well as the dipstick, and all of these have got to come back out of the way. I'll assess the throttle body after I have this, and then it will be about finding the right extension pieces, probably on a 3/8 or my 1/4 inch, to get in, access those and remove them out of the way. Remember, on the very low side, we're going to have that one bolt that's holding on the underside here, so I'll probably be jacking the vehicle up and getting that one from the bottom. But first things first, I'm going to start to remove these cables here. Airbox up out of the way. Very simply, this clip here is going to be done. You have these heads that will take that up out of position, and then that box pulls up out of the way with some air breather pipes that run up along to the top rocker cover along here. That can be disconnected on the lower side or on the top side, whichever comes off easier. So I'm going to set about doing that now. Top of the airbox and pipe is out of the way now. That pulls straight up out of position, and the last pipe is down on the underside here, clips onto that position, and you can just push it in and that releases back. You can also, if you feed it up along here, take it off from the rocker cover side. But that's enough room on that. I'm going to switch my attention to actually getting the throttle body off next, taking out some of the cabling out of the way and disconnecting it. This will be just a pull back and then push in clip to remove the electrical connector, and yeah, start to make more room. So I've got the cabling removed on the top side. I pulled these out of position as well, just to take some slack off that. These are 8mm holding on the throttle body, so 1, 2, 3 and 4. And then this electrical connector is just a pull back and then push down, or else you can get in from this side with a flat screwdriver and flick that back. $8mm. Throttle body is now removed. For these push button type clips, them Christmas tree type heads, these are the trim tools I'm using. So they work by, you push down and then you pull back. You get in between it and you wedge against it and pull it back out of position. It can be very useful on hoses as well. Take this dipstick up out of the way in a minute, but I need to find out if that's just a push down in position or if there's another securing bolt on the lower side. I'll just have a look at that dipstick because that'll need to come out of the way as well. This electrical connector, manifold absolute pressure sensor, I think that goes to. So next thing I'm going to do to free up space on the top before I start to go in at the manifold bolts is take the fuel rail out of position. If you look how deep the manifold goes in and the amount of space you have back, this is going to make it a lot easier. I don't know if you could get it out enough and up by leaving that in position, probably not. So without wasting time, we're going to take those two out, disconnect those, pull up the rail and move it out of position. So I've got the fuel rail up out of position now, held in by these two tin mills. That's holding it down in here, and you just grab on the fuel rail and pull it up directly up out of position. So for 1 and 2 here, you pull and straight up. They're going to be tight. These little rubber seals are always tight on the injectors when you're pulling them up, but get a firm grip on the rail and pull it all up together. Good idea, what you can do before you take the rail out is blow around any of the areas so that no dirt falls into them once removed. I also went and I removed this electrical connector down the back side here and a clip on the front side here as well. That plastic clip is pushed back out of the way, so now we have a very clear view to it. If you look on number 4, you can see even after me blowing it out and using some vacuum, the likes of that still needs to come out. So I'll get the vacuum again and go back and try and take some more out so that doesn't fall in before I put a rag and block off all of those. This hose needs to come out of the way, and then you can see the heads on the top side are nice and easy to access from here. It also gives you more view and more space by moving that out of the way. These two, number 1 and number 2 ignition coil, I disconnected those. I was going to disconnect them on the injectors, but I didn't need to. All I needed to do was remove those two, and I was able to swing to the side enough, which gave me plenty of room to continue from there. Okay, that's it. I'm going to try and get that last bit out and then just run a rag along there and start to get at those bolts, and then look on the underside as well. I have number 1 and 2 on these bolts, so 2 taken out, this one over here and this one here. And to give you an idea of my setup, I have 2 3/8 extensions onto the deep socket for the bottom one down here, and that's the type of space that you have and the layout. See if I can do this with one hand. So that one's now loose, and then when I have them to a certain level, I use my flexible magnet and I can reach down and just pick them out. Just taking out this 10mm on the top side now, and what I forgot to mention in the last clip was I decided to use tape on each one of these because the rag I was going to put across was just covering too much and you weren't getting a great view on the camera, so I just taped each one of them off nice and easy. This pipe here is currently stuck, so if that happens to you, I would advise taking it off on the opposite side. With any of these little breather pipes that haven't been removed ever, you gently twist it back and over to try and break the seal. This one is in limited space. I can definitely have a much better go at removing it by getting a flat screwdriver on either side underneath and trying to keep a bit of pressure while twisting. In its position there, I could see that this was straining a bit, and I certainly don't want to break any pipes when I don't have any spares to do that. So I'm going to be taking that one out afterwards. I'm leaving it in place for now and just disconnect it on that side. So I'm now taking all the top side ones. I've one taken from this side, but I want to get on the lower side and just have a look and see how easy these bottom ones are to remove. So I'm going to jack the vehicle up on both sides. I'm going to put stands in on either side, and then I'm going to show you on the underside what items needs to be removed as well. So I'm now under the vehicle, and this is the dipstick going into the sump. This bolt is holding it on and a bracket along here, so that needs to come out of the way. Very easy access, even though you can't see it too easily, but it is very easy. When I clear that bolt there, which is the lower one, that needs to come out. And I don't think there's much more from the lower side that I'll need to do. That one and that one, we'll take those out. And then I'll worry about the rest from the top side. It looks like I don't think there's anything else I need to disconnect, so I'm just going to go ahead, take that one out, take that one out, get this dipstick out of the way, and yeah, assess it from the top side then on what's the last remaining components on the left hand side of the engine that needs to be removed as well. I'm using my 1/4 inch on a short extension and my deep tin quarter to get the bolt on this side. This is a blind one, it's in a tricky spot, but if you get an idea as to the location based on, that'll just give you an idea where it actually is. I'll try and get you a better shot. And that's the 1/4 inch extension. It's a longer extension this time, going in with a standard 10mm socket on it. See if I can give you a shot from here. And if you just look in there, you can see where it's located. So this is the last one to remove now, and once I have that out, the manifold will actually be able to move out of position. There's other items to disconnect, but we will do that as we need. I'm just going to back that out and take that out of position now. So this pipe here is now removed, which is this one. It goes on to the brake booster back there. That's a straight down and pull up, but if you are reusing your manifold for any reason, if you're just changing those flaps, I would probably recommend taking it from that side. No more than power steering hoses on these Fords. That clip can be quite difficult. You need to pull it up very straight to get it out of position without damaging it. It grips down on it like that. So you just pull it straight up out of position. After that, I decided to move this off the side of the manifold. The vacuum hoses here were just not moving, it was too tight. So instead of taking it in position, I decided to take those three out and pull that back out of position. Depending on, again, if you are replacing the manifold or not, you may want to just keep that in position if you are to save potentially damaging any item, even though it does seem sturdy enough. It doesn't seem like you would do much damage, but so we pull that back and we see where we are. I know there's a PCV valve on the lower side, so there'll be a pipe on the lower side as well, but other than that we should be right there. PCV valve and the hose, which you can see as I rock it, is still in position. So let's see if we can move this back out of the way now. If you see down the bottom side there, I disconnected the PCV valve from the hose. I used my long nose pliers to take the clamp off, but with a lot of these you need to really work hard to remove the hose. The PCV valve itself is just jammed down there, so I disconnected on that side, and what I did was I used my hose removal tool and just slide it in, break the seal, back and over. I used some lubricant on it as well and just move it back and over, and finally I got it to free enough by doing that and pop it without damaging the hose itself. So I should be able to move that down and around and free out the manifold from here. So manifold is up out of position. There is one remaining hose coming from, I think it's them solenoids, and it's just down there, so I need to pull back that hose, get a flat screwdriver just underneath it and pry that up. So we are now at my absolute favorite part of any job, which is confirming whether the diagnosis is correct or not. We're in far enough, we've removed enough, and now we have finally got some visibility to see what these are like. So let's have a look, and then what I'm going to do is catch a hold of one and see if there's any play. So if you look here, when you catch it, there's absolutely no play. It's nice and tight and there's no issues whatsoever. And there you go. As you can see, there is lots and lots of play. Oh, that one is extremely bad. See that? See what it should look like. And see, there's parts of it broken away. If you look down there, it's actually broken away from its position. It's a good visual compared with the mounting plate there. Let's go along and see if there's any more. That one is also broken away. Look in there. So excellent. That is a concrete diagnosis. The manifold swirl flaps needed to be replaced. You can individually replace these, I believe. On the likes of this job, it very much is what suits your budget, what suits your time. With the likes of that, I would always just replace the manifold. There's no way I'm going to be individually replacing these. You don't know, the rod that's along here could have wear on it as well, and it just seems like a higher risk if these are capable to be separated. I think they are. If those can be separated, my advice would be to replace the whole manifold. Put in a new piece. You're going to get warranty with it. It's going to last you a long time. The likes of this hose, you can inspect. I was expecting mine to be in bad shape, but it's actually good. There's no issues with that hose at all. So I'm pretty happy about that. I just have to flick that one over and put it on there. But that is it for that tonight. I wanted to get that out before I went to finish up tonight. I'm going to come back tomorrow and I'm going to install this into it then. Where the PCV valve sits into and the location of it, when you have the manifold remove, now is an ideal opportunity just to remove that piece and give it a quick clean out. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to take that out, give it a very quick clean and put it back in, and then it's reinstallation time for this manifold. There is a couple of things to change over from one manifold to another before we set about install. I'm going to leave this down here loose for the meantime, and then I'm going to take that pipe off, but I don't have to mark it. It's giving me a clear indication of what that pipe and where that pipe is going to, and that means I can't mix up the other pipe that I removed. So let's get that off and give it a quick clean. So I've changed over pipe on the top side, and that was stuck in quite bad, and now I have the map sensor being switched over. That's now pressed in. Just need to put back in this Torx head in there, and this will be ready to reinstall in the vehicle. I removed this piece down here. Didn't really need to be removed, to be honest. I'll give it a quick clean. There's a little bit in it, but not much. That really didn't need to be removed at all with the condition it is in, but it was good to check it all the same. Now that I have broken that seal, I will run some sealer around there so that doesn't cause me any issues with anything running out of there. That's all back in position now, so the next thing is install the manifold. I'm not going to be showing a step-by-step guide of everything to do with the installation. You have all the information in how it is removed, and you just do it in reverse order. It is as simple as that. I'm going to install the manifold now, and then I'm going to check back in with you later on as I have most of the components reinstalled. Manifold is sitting in position, and I'm just giving you an idea of how I install these bolts. I have my flexi magnet here. just like that. And that was the same way as how I was taking them out. I was using that flexible magnet to reach down in those areas and pull those bolts out. So I will be installing each one of them like that, and then coming along and using my socket to tighten them up. If you didn't have the likes of this, you could use a bit of paper in the top of the socket. Most people don't have the magnetic type sockets that would be very useful for the likes of this. Any of the tools, the likes of that, where I got the manifold from, will all be linked in the description should you want to check them out. So I will put up anything I can find so you have a full resource of where and how you can go about and get those bits for yourself. And as you can see, that's the middle and pretty much the last one of the manifold in now. That was put in by my flexible magnet, had a light shine in, and now I have the 1/4 inch extension with standard 10mm to tighten it up. And that is it. That's my setup. Standard 10mm socket, and now all of these are all tightened up. So everything is now back together. I just have to put the top cover on, but I'm gonna let this run for 15 to 20 minutes and idle, and then afterwards I'm gonna bring it for a drive. Everything is looking good as it is. There's no noises, there's no what I can hear vacuum leaks or anything like that from any of the pipes, so everything seems to be fine. Like I said, I'm going to leave it here for about 15 minutes or so to idle, and then afterwards I will bring it for a test drive and see that everything is okay. It is now the following day. I have over 100 kilometers put up on this vehicle since, and there is no issues. This problem has now been fixed and everything is okay. So if you're having that type of vibration, type of noise in your vehicle, or you're having any of those issues that I spoke of, be sure to check out to see if it's your intake manifold flaps that's causing the problem. They were extremely damaged in this, moving all over the place, and needed to be replaced. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please like, share, comment and subscribe, and I hope to see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.